Hello. We are looking today at how to complete addition and subtraction equations with integers. Now, if you're already an expert at your basic pre-algebra using variables and solving for them, this is going to seem like a step back for you. For those of us that are still working on that, this might be a way for you to get there. And we're going to be looking at the quick code for P6A to get here. So if I look at an equation like this, I see a blank minus -7 equals 16. What I need is a number that I can plug in here that would make this equation true. Now, again, if you know about pre-algebra, you could just solve for this as if it was a variable like x or a. Or you can just try and plug in numbers because these are going to tend to be pretty simple equations with just one step to solve for the answer. What I do know is that I need to apply my rules of integer addition and subtraction. And one of those rules is that if I see myself subtracting a negative, I'm going to change that to adding a positive. So what I've really got here is that I've got a number where if I add 7, and if I turn on the right scribbling, and if I add 7, I get to 16. I need to figure out what that number could be. Again, there's a couple of ways to solve for this. Those of us doing algebra know that we could subtract 7 on both sides to get that x by itself, and then see what that x equals when I take 16 minus 7, which is 9. If you're not comfortable with that yet, which we should be because we learned it, but if we're not comfortable with that yet, the other way to do that is using a number line. I know that I need to add 7 to something, and that is going to get me to 16. Now, let me go ahead and drag this over so you can see it. So I need to add 7 to something to get me to 16. I go back, I added 7 to 9, and that got me to 16. So let's try plugging in 9. I got it both ways. Super. Type the integer that makes the following subtraction sentence true. This time we're starting at a -5. We're subtracting something and ending up at a -14. I'm going to use the number line method. If you want to use the algebra method, you can. But we are going to start all the way down here at -5 and make it to 14 by moving through subtraction. So here's -5. I need to get to 14. I can do that by subtracting 9. Or moving to the left 9. As long as you double check that you don't have any of those double negative situations going on, you're basically using your number line to solve these. So I'm going to do 3 more examples, then I'll let you try some on your own. All right, I need a number that if I add a -7, that's moving to the left. Then I get to a -12. Okay, so if I'm going -7, I end up at -12. It looks like I would be starting with a -5, adding -7 to get to -12. So let's try -5. Oh yeah. I need something where if I start with a -2 and I move to the left, I get to a 5. Well, that's not good because here, if I'm starting at -2 and I'm subtracting, there's no way for me to get to 5. This is one of those situations where I can use my adding a negative, double negative situation to get to 5. What I really need to be doing is adding 7. But since it's subtracting, I will have to make that subtracting a -7. Applying my rules of addition and subtraction of integers, this double negative turns into a positive, and this ends up being -2 plus 7, which I know equals 5. Type the integer that makes this true. I need to add a -2 and get to 0. Adding a -2 moves me to the left. So let's make a -2 here, and it needs to end up at 0. All right, I end at 0 when I move -2 from 2. Let's try one more. And like I said before, I highly recommend this number line app. I'm going to go ahead and put this right underneath the video so you can use this if you need to. You can just open the link as you're watching. Type the integer that makes the following addition sentence true. Something plus 9 is 15. This is one you should be able to figure out with a little bit of mental math, but let me show you what the method we're using. Plus is going to be green to the right, and I'm adding 9 to something to get to 15. So let's make this 9. Let's make this end at 15. And let's see where we start. We start at 6. 6 plus 9 is 15. Miss Trout, I could have done that. Cool. Make sure you get to 80. Have a good one, y'all.